Good evening, everyone. Not sure what electives is all about? Struggling to find a fun and worthwhile project to do for your electives? That is where Electives 101 comes in. Today, we will be having an experience sharing session with our own seniors from A-Level 2014 batch about their experience in electives. And this would be a very interesting session to all the juniors who are going to do electives in future. This project is done by Rotaract Club of Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, in collaboration with University of Colombo Clinical Society. So, first of all, I would like to introduce our panel of resource persons for today's session. Sajit Munasinghe, Akila Nilavira, Harindu Senarat, Anusha Pereira, and Hiruni Udara from A-Level 2014 batch. It is a great pleasure to have you all here, and thank you for contributing your valuable time for Electives 101. So during this session, we will be going through different topics and a very brief introduction to electives, elective related to clinical specialty, elective related to research and foreign elective programs, and volunteering and sports related electives, and many more topics will be covered during this session. So all the participants who are in the audience, you can direct your questions either to the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions at the end of the whole session. So without further ado, we will move on to our first session. So during this session, we will be covering, giving a brief introduction to electives and elective related to clinical specialty. And this will be done by Hiruni Udara from A-Level 2014 batch. Over to you, Aki.
Thank you, Maheshi. Let me share my screen first. Hi, everyone. Hope you can see my screen clearly.
Yes, I see.
Okay. So, as I was told, the 16ers have already got an intro to electives. Since the more junior batches are also joining in, I would just brief about the electives first. Yeah. So basically, what is this electives program? I would simply say that Dobby is a free app now. During this 4 weeks duration, you'll be free to do anything you wish in any way that you would like to do. So when talking about our batch, the topics of this elective program ranged from the usual typical clinical electives, researchers, to sports, snakes, and dancing as well. So I think that sums up the variation of topics that you could choose in this program. But this thing is also supervised. So how this should be done will be elaborated to you during your introduction to this electives program, which is done under the clinical sciences stream. So yes, during this thing, the main thing that you want to know is how to prepare for electives. So basically, you may or may not know already, you could do electives alone or as a pair. Usually the maximum number they accept is 2 people in a team, but under specific or special circumstances, they might even accept another partner, like 3 people in a group. So then you should choose a topic and also a supervisor. So these do not essentially need to go in an order. As for me, I just selected my supervisor first, then my topic, and later the partner. So you could do it any way you want. And after you choose your topic and the supervisor, the main thing you have to do is developing your electives proposal. So this proposal for us, it was about 250 to 300 words, small proposal. And if you have already done your research, you know how to write proposals, and this one is not as hard as that. You just have to have a title, a brief intro to what you're going to do, and the objectives. As you all know, any objective should be SMART. So after choosing your objectives, you have to plan the activities for each and put them into a Gantt chart or just a timetable so that you can structure your 4 weeks duration properly. After doing this, you need to get your supervisor's approval for your electives proposal. Only after that you can register your proposal. So for registering, you'll be getting a electives registration form, and to fill that up, you need the supervisor's signatures and your proposal to be ready. So don't keep it to your last minute. Once you have thought of the topic and you have come up with a proposal, get things going soon. And once you have submitted your proposal to the committee, after a brief period, they will review the proposals and give you the green light, the amber light, or the red light. If you get the green light to go ahead, you can go ahead without any changes to your proposal. But if it needs to have any changes, they will notify you. And if you're not allowed to do that proposal at all, then you'll have to come up with a new proposal, and they'll be giving a certain time period for you to prepare for all that as well. Once you're fit to go, you can do your electives during your given period. And while doing electives, keep in mind that you have to submit a report at the end of it. So you need to get, other than the report, you have to submit a reflective logbook as well. About the report, it's not a big report. For us, it was 1,000 words limit. So a report should include the initial proposal and the evaluation of your challenges, achievements, or whatever activities that you did during the elective, and the supervisor's comments and other supportive evidences should be included in this report. So other than this report, reflective logbook also should be submitted, where one book per each member in the team or the group should be submitted separately. But when talking about the proposal and the report, the two of you together can submit the same one. But when it comes to the reflective log, it's your own reflective thinking, so you'll have to submit each one separately. Although this is just a brief outlining, you will be given study guide by this electives program, where it will give you step by step what to do and what not to do, and what are the expected things in each of the areas in the report as well. So I think you all should know how we are assessed during this elective appointment as well. So they usually consider the supervisor's feedback that are submitted with the report and the report itself, which will be seen and corrected by the committee. And actually, there will be only 1 mark allocated for this elective program for your cumulative MBBS mark. But these electives should not be just minimized because it's just 1 mark. People make it a time to enjoy and have fun, and some try to invest their time for their future projects, researchers, or their postgraduate studies. So it's all yours to decide what you're going to do with your electives. And I think it's nice if you have a productive elective, because not all the universities, not all the faculties get this chance to have an elective where you're free to do anything. So I think it would be nice if you can do it productively. So I'll just brief into the elective that we did. The topic of our elective was, as given here, it was mainly about spinal surgery. So you may wonder why I thought of doing this elective. I was not actually interested in doing postgraduates in surgery or orthopedic surgery, but actually I was really interested about one of the consultants doing spinal surgeries, how dedicated and how enthusiastic he was, even at the age of 60s. And he has been such an enthusiastic and a compassionate consultant throughout his service. So I just wanted to have a glimpse of his service. So I decided to go with him as my supervisor. So after that only, I decided that I would be doing spinal surgery. So the main problem when selecting this topic was that, as you know, as you may not know, we are not allowed to do what we are taught during our undergraduate program. Like if you're going to study the same things that we were told in the modules or that we taught in our clinical appointments, it will not be accepted as a good elective. So then you'll have to change it. Actually, such things happened in our batch as well, where some people had submitted about labor room activities as such to study those in depth. But such proposals have been rejected because it's under our own curriculum. So the electives program mainly want us to acquire knowledge or go for passions outside the undergraduate curriculum. So the main problem was whether this topic will be accepted because the spinal surgery is something that we are taught in our modules, and we may get a chance to have some clinical exposure during our neurosurgery orthopedic clinical rotations as well. So for that, we talked with our supervisor, and the main thing was about the objectives. Despite your topic being spinal surgery, if your objectives are outside the usual undergraduate clinical program, then it will be accepted as a elective proposal. So we had no trouble accepting that at the first time itself, where we made sure that we are not repeating the objectives that are already achieved in our modules. And we went a step ahead of it, where we were more into the neuroanesthesia and the surgical techniques in spinal surgery, and new and intraoperative monitorings that were used in spinal surgery were included in our proposal, which is a few steps ahead from the usual undergraduate stuff. So, and the next thing that we were worried about was the setting. There were some rumors running that you won't be allowed to do electives in the NHSL, Castle, or the Colombo group of hospitals because they are the usual clinical rotation places. But actually, it was not a problem. Not just our groups, so many other groups did their electives in the NHSL itself. And there's an added advantage because the consultants in NHSL, basically a teaching hospital, are very well familiar with this electives program. They don't need any introductions or guidance to the electives program anew. So that was an added advantage as well. So those are the things that came across our minds when preparing for it. But once our proposal was accepted, we were good to go. But the main challenge that we came across when we were trying to conduct our elective was that just a week before that we started electives, the spinal surgeries in NHSL have been all stopped because that's a specific theater dedicated for spinal surgeries have been found to have contaminated by a multi-drug resistant organism. So the theater was basically closed for about more than 2 months until that is cleared up. So then we were in a dilemma what to do, whether we can go ahead with the same thing and whether we can change the setting as such. But actually, the other setting that we could use for the same topic was in Kandy, and that was not feasible for us. So we talked with our supervisor, and he just said that we can try it out, and even though we don't get the practical aspect of it, we can have other things added apart from the given objectives that we gave up in the proposal. And actually, that wasn't a big problem at the end of it, because the practical aspect of it was only one objective of them, and in the report you can critically analyze why we were unable to achieve those objectives, and those are very well accepted by the committee as well, because things can go wrong at times, so it was not a big issue afterwards. And yeah, I will just brief you. I just briefed about the elective that we did. And when talking about electives in a clinical field, why you should choose something in a clinical field? It's mainly if you're interested in doing the postgraduates or your diplomas or any research or any publications in a certain clinical field. It's very well advisable that you choose that certain clinical field in this elective. As you may have seen in some consultants and speakers, they say in their bios that they started their career from the elective, which was intriguing and which made them come into that specific field. So if you have already something in mind to do in the future, this is your chance, you can do it. But even if you don't have such thing in mind, considering the feasibility and your interest and anything, you could choose this clinical fields as well. And when it comes to the clinical field, you might wonder what kind of an elective I could do in a clinical field. So you could do simply a basic studying or acquiring knowledge and skills like I did, but also you could do clinical audits, any research, any publications related to a certain field as well. So if you need any suggestions for this, for any elective regarding the clinical field, you can just go through your undergraduate curriculum. Although you're not allowed to do the things in the undergraduate curriculum, you can go in depth to selected certain topics. So you should make sure that you'll analyze and justify you using fields or clinical experiences that you have already got under your undergraduate program. So the other thing I would suggest is you can use the PGIM site where it offers so many courses which can be done as a postgraduate. So in that they might give certificate courses, diplomas, or many other things. You can just go through them, and they will be also giving prospectus in each of them. Prospectus is basically kind of a curriculum which gives the objectives in them. So use this free time that is given to you to think about your future as well. So I think it's a good idea to use the PGIM website as well. So among the topics that were selected among our colleagues, a few new interesting fields that some of them have chosen were biomedical informatics, interventional radiology, clinical genetics, which were not done by previous students. And also, you'll get a chance to look at the list of electives done by your seniors. It's nice if you're not repeating the same, and if you do something new than the things that are done by your seniors itself. And yeah, I think that's it. Over to Maheshi.
Yes, Aki, thank you so much for your presentation. And I think you addressed one of the biggest questions that medical students have about electives, whether it is possible to do something related to clinical specialties. And thank you for your introduction and the explanations and your sharing for your experience with us. So let's move on to our next topic. And I think this topic is also another topic that our medical students have a lot of questions in, whether it is possible to do something beyond our country, and if we can go abroad and do something for elective programs. So our next topic is about, it is related, electives related to research and foreign elective programs. So this session will be done by Sachit Munasinghe from A-Level 2014 batch. Aye, over to you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Sachit Munasinghe, and good to talk to you after a long time, and good to see a lot of Rotaractors and non-Rotaractors joining today's conversation. And my part is basically to give you a brief introduction on the overseas and the research-based elective programs, which I did back in 2020. So before that, I would like to add, first I would like to thank Hiruni for giving that the wonderful introduction to the electives program. And I would like to add one thing. And as she said, this is coming under the clinical science the stream, and you are getting 45 marks in the whole curriculum for the clinical science stream, and you are getting 15 marks from that before going into the prof year. And out of that 15 marks, 1 mark you are getting is for this elective. So when it comes to the clinical stream, even 1 mark matters. So that's one aspect of this selective program that you have to focus on. So the next 10 to 20 minutes, I would like to give you a brief introduction on these 2 aspects. And when it comes to medicine is anyway interesting, but we make our lives harder. And this, when it comes to electives, I think that is the most interesting part in the whole curriculum, which I think, according to my opinion and my perspective. And when it comes to the elective programs, you can do the elective programs in Sri Lanka as well as overseas. So adding on to what Hiruni said, when you are doing something in Sri Lanka, it is they are advocating not to do something which is already covered in your curriculum. But when it comes to the foreign electives, actually you can somewhat overcome that problem because in the foreign electives, the placements are anyway, they are difficult to find, as well as they are actually, you have limited number of the placements you can actually find. So working in another country is itself is a different thing than we do in our or the day-to-day practice. So when it comes to that point, you can actually do even something which you have already covered in the curriculum, but you have put like some objectives like the comparing. There was one one of our seniors who did the elective program in Sydney regarding the emergency medicine, and what he did was he compared and contrasted the differences in the treatment protocols in the emergency medicine, because we have already done an emergency medicine, the accident service appointment. But what he did was he compared and contrasted what he learned during that appointment as well as what he learned during the electives program in Sydney. Then he submitted his report like that. So first part is you should be passionate about what you are doing, because you have only 4 weeks. For these 4 weeks, you have to enjoy yourself, and you have to, if you are not passionate about what you are doing, it's useless. So if you are planning to do a foreign elective program, and I think the 2016 batch is doing, and this will be more benefited for the 2017 batch as well. And we did our electives in, as I can remember, in 2020, and I sent my application actually in 2018 December. And because it takes a long time to process these things and find a placement and do everything. So you can, first of all, you have to select a country which you would like to do the elective programs. And if you don't know a country, then what you can do is, because you have to think about everything, you have to go there, you have to stay there for 4 weeks, accommodation is really expensive, and if you have a relative or someone, it will be really easy. So that's why we chose Australia, and because I managed to get free the accommodation for the 4 weeks. And if not, you have to pay for that as well. So if you don't have a clue, or if you don't have anyone else to help, what you can do is you can go to Google and you can actually search for the countries which offers elective programs. So Australia is a very a prominent and a very famous country for the elective placements. And there are very famous elective placement at Sydney, the University of Western Australia, the University of Melbourne, the Perth, and Adelaide, also Brisbane. And these the areas you can actually easily find a placement to do your electives. And when it comes to the USA, even the Harvard and even UK, the Cambridge and everything, every famous university, they actually offer elective programs. And you can actually find them from Google. And when you go to the specific site, they clearly give you introduction how to apply for this and that. And when I was applying in 2018 December, the Harvard Medical School, the elective program was already filled for the 2020. So it is very difficult to get a placement in that type of those kind of facilities. But still, you can try, and we'll come to the other parts later. So in the left side of yours, you can see the FMG portal, which is for the USA. You can find a placement, the elective placements for using this portal in states, as well as I'm giving you an example from the University of Sydney, the elective placements in the right side. Just like that, you can, even in Uganda, you can actually search for the elective program and find something there. Then the next thing is how you are going to do it. As I already said, this takes a long time, and to process. So if you are planning to do an elective program in Austin, I even though I said I applied in 2018, I didn't get that elective program. I actually got everything ready during the period the department gives you to get ready for the elective program. So even the ones who are doing this year also, still you can find the placement if you want to do this. And the first one is you have to apply for an elective program. For that, you don't need to consult the international relation unit in our faculty. First, you can actually apply and see whether there are any places and the placements you can get in that specific time period, because there are, when it comes to the clinical practice in the other countries, there are periods called gray weeks. So in those gray weeks, the local students actually come to do clinicals in those facilities, and we are not allowed to go. So you have to first find a placement where the gray weeks are not overlapping with your elective period. And after that, you can actually select if you can do it. You can do it different ways. You can do all the 4 weeks in a different country, or you can do 2 weeks there and 2 weeks here. Like that, you can do it in different ways. It's up to you to find out a way to do that, and you have to find a feasible way. And the next one is after getting a confirmation that there is a placement like that, you can apply. You have to go to the IR unit, which is there near the main hall. The upstairs of the main hall, there's a attic-like thing. You can go up, and there is a place called International Relation Unit, IR. And there is the lady there. You can go and speak to her. And actually, I went and I spoke to Professor Indika, and he also gave me some inputs regarding this. And then I went and talked to the IR unit, and they give you some letters there where they actually request from the faculty side to give you a placement in this the facility you are expecting to do. And then you can go ahead with the next step. Even the 2017 batch, you can actually, even though your elective is in next year, you can still start this workup process, and then you can go and talk to the IR department. You don't have to wait till they announce and till they give the introduction to the electives to do this, because unlike other electives, this takes a long time. And then after getting everything sorted, you have to apply for visas. And these days, getting visas is there's a bit of a difficulty especially for the students. And because of the current the economic crisis and everything happening in Sri Lanka, there are some countries, they don't issue a visa for the Sri Lankan students. So there will be a challenge to get that done, but still nothing is impossible. So if you try earlier, and then you can actually get visa and everything. Then then the basic A to Z protocol, you have to get the plane tickets, and then you can fly. So I didn't want to do. I thought of doing the geriatric medicine, but then I changed my elective field to the OMF surgery. And so what I wanted to do was not to learn about the OMF surgery, but to travel in Australia and do some sightseeing, and have a great vacation there. So that was my the objective. However, and this is the St. Vincent, the This is, I think, from Melbourne. Yeah, I think this is from Melbourne. Yes, yeah, this is from University of Melbourne. So I just want to give you a brief, see, even in 2018, even in 2018, can you see the 2019? This is in 2018 December. The 2019 elective placement was already booked. That's like law. Then the 2020, for the 2020 elective placements, they are like calling applications from 2019 January. Okay, so that was a important thing to understand, that if you are doing this, you have to do it a bit early. And to do like things like this, I didn't want in my elective program. They didn't want me to do IELTS, but you can see here you have to do IELTS as well. So the different facilities have different requirements, and it is that's why I ask you to like get down that email and find out the requirements and do it that way. So you have time to prepare for that. And this is the official way of doing the electives. There is another way of doing that. And the other way is, if you have someone who's working abroad, or especially a doctor or a consultant, what you can do is you can go and work with him. And for that, you don't need to do all this the protocol things, and still you have to pay for the facility, but you don't have to do anything like this, the IELTS and those things, the CV, those things you don't have to submit. If you have a consultant or a friend or someone who's working there, you can go and work with them. And that's the easy way, I believe. And using that way, you can actually enjoy your vacation there, as well as you can learn something which you did not in during this the 6 years time. And that's it about the overseas elective program. That's what I did. And okay, before going to the next session, are there any questions? I hope you should have questions when it comes to this aspect. No? No. Maheshi, then.
Yes, yeah, I think we can move on to the next session, and
Okay, sure.
if they have any questions, they can ask at the end of it.
Yes, sure. So what happened was we got okay. Then the one thing I should mention is doing the overseas the elective placement will be a bit expensive, and you have to pay for the facility and everything. Usually the average, if you go for a very famous facility, the average the amount for the 4 weeks will be around 1,000 USD. And like the other places, you can see I showed you earlier, it was 550 Australian dollars. And now the dollar is the dollar rate is sky high. And I remember I exchanged dollars when it was $1 was 172 rupees, and now it's I think 350 or 300. I think it's 373. So it will be really expensive to do that, but not discouraging you all. And average amount with the plane ticket, you will have to pay averagely 2,000 to 2,500 for this whole 4 weeks, including accommodation, traveling, and everything. So it will come to around, again, if it is 300, you can do the math and see now it's a bit expensive, but still nothing is impossible. So we had our plane tickets, we got our visa, and 2 days before leaving, they closed the country, and we couldn't go. So that's what happened to our elective placements in Australia. And okay, then we moved to the second part. So God had different plans, and the part 2. So after that, we were clueless. I think totally, even Anusha was planning to do his electives in Johns Hopkins, and he couldn't go as well. And that's an important thing. Other than that, if you are planning to work in another country, this will be important, because if some of you might know that if you are doing a foreign the exam, after passing the exam, there are a thing called observership. So you have to do you have to work in the local the hospital and do some observership training before getting a job there. So this elective program actually counts as an observership. And you don't have to do another observership if you're planning to move to another country. That's an added advantage. Okay, so after that, we were clueless. We didn't have another topic to do, and I think altogether 15 students were planning to do electives in different countries. All of them were in trouble, and then we thought of doing a different elective program, and then we came up this the research article, right? So first of all, I will give you an introduction to what we did, then you can understand. So we never wanted to write an article. That was not our objective at all. And we just want to see how the new technologies like developing in the medical sector. So we managed to get in contact with a research facility who are developing new new equipments to uplift the technology in the whole world, and that's called Gendo. And that's nobody has heard of that name before, and they are doing lots and lots of research. It is done by the students actually the ones who passed out from University of Moratuwa. So they are engineers, and they develop different types of the machines. And then we found out that there is a machine they are developing to find out the endothelial dysfunction in the human body. And then when we thought of, okay, we can do that. We can actually go to that facility and learn about that machine, and then submit it as a submit it as a report. That was our initial objective. Then apparently we found out that Saroj sir was the supervisor there in that research facility. And then we contacted him, and he was happy to become the supervisor of me and Vinu. Then so we both went and talked to him. And then meanwhile, there were the other students who were clueless after losing their overseas elective program. So Sarangini also, she said she likes to join us. And then we went to the elective department, and because as Iruni said, the limit is usually 2. Then we first talked to Saroj sir. Then he said that if there are 3 of us, what we can do is we have like lot of workforce, and we can actually write a paper on it. And then we went to the elective the unit. They said, yes, if there are 3 of you, if you are writing a paper and you have 4 weeks only, so it is acceptable, and you can do it as the group of 3. And then we started our elective program. And at first we had no idea what to write. Then we did some research and found out that back then the COVID was in its peak time, and then we found out, okay, the endothelial dysfunction is directly related to the COVID-19 the pathophysiology. So why not find out whether we can use this machine to identify the people who need like more supervised care than the other people, the ones just that whether we can predict the outcome or the severity of that patient's illness in the earlier part of the disease course. That's what our research was about. And then we did it. Was actually since we liked research and since we enjoyed it, it was fun. And but we had to do a lot of work. Just imagine writing a research paper in 4 weeks. It is really difficult, especially when you have to study for the reproductive exams as well. And meantime, we worked really hard, and we put all our effort, and the credit should go to Saroj sir. And he's the one, he sometimes edited the article and sent us around 2 a.m. like at night, and somehow we managed to write it. So that's how we did. That's why if you have a very enthusiastic supervisor, if you are doing a research, anyway, you need a very good supervisor. if your supervisor is not answering to your calls, if he's or she not replying to your emails, you can't do a research in the 4 weeks. It's as simple as that, because it's a 4-week thing. No, you don't have, because some of the students try to do a research in some things that research is just doing a questionnaire and collecting data and doing the stuff. No, there are different types of research you can do. What we did was we did a review article, and using the technology we learned in that period, then actually we wrote 2 articles, and so that's it. So first of all, if you want to do a research, you have to find a research topic, and it should be, the objectives of that topic should be very smart, you know, no? Smart. So especially it should be achievable in 4 weeks time. You can't do data collection, data analysis, and everything in 4 weeks. It's a bit hard. It's not impossible. Again, nothing is impossible, but it's a bit hard. So so it's up to you to identify a research, and there are so many types of research you can do, and you can identify a research, and then you can do it. Because if at the end of the day, what you have to do is, if you are doing a research, ultimately you have to publish it somewhere. Otherwise no point of doing it. No. So if you do a research and if you cannot publish there, then the electives itself is not successful. So what you have to do is, you have to target that part. Then after that, keep in mind that the 4 weeks time period is the limit. So you have to make again a research proposal. You have to make a timetable, and then you have to submit it to the supervisor, get the approval, then submit it to the electives unit, get the approval, and go ahead with the part. So at the end of the day, this was our outcome, and we managed to actually, we before giving the elective report, we actually managed to submit and got the reply from the journal that they are publishing our article, because it was COVID, and it was whatever you did in that time you can publish related to COVID. So that's why actually we selected that type of field, and this is our elective team, and we managed to publish in Elsevier journals, and nothing is impossible. So you can do a research very well in this 4 weeks of time, but you have to plan well. You have to find a very the productive and as well as achievable research topic, and then go ahead with your plan. And if you plan it well, and I would say for your future and everything, this will be a real I would say a benefit, and it will actually do well for you in your future as well when it comes to a publication. And so this is at the last the lecture done by Professor Saroj during the I think the clinical society, the speech, and even he mentioned us in that speech as well. So this was one of his favorite quotes: "Our mind is limited, not the opportunities." And he asked us to give this the idea and give this message, especially to juniors who thinks that Sri Lanka is a developing country and we cannot do anything here. No, we can do a lot of things here. The problem is we are not seeking the opportunities. So this is what we did. And if you need any help with the research or any other thing, you can any help you want. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity for to talk to you all, and I hope you got something. If you have any questions, I would like to give answers. No, there are 3 questions. Is that for me? Aya, can you explain about those grey weeks in clinicals again? Okay, so the grey weeks are just imagine our NHS, and we are just imagine the neurology unit in our NHS. So there are weeks our students go there and do clinical work. No, so that's like that in other countries, other clinical the other wards, they have like weeks. Example, if you go to the hospital, if you go to hospital in Melbourne, there are weeks that the medical students from University of Melbourne come and do their like the day-to-day clinical rotations in those units. Those weeks you cannot go and do electives. They don't let you do electives in those weeks. They call them gray weeks. So in the timetable, they will give you a time. They will give you time slots. So these from this week to this week, you can do electives here. This week to this week, you can do electives there. So like that, you have to find out a placement where you can do which actually overlaps with your the elective time period. Okay. So if just imagine if the University of Melbourne, the hospital, okay, if the gray week is overlapping with your clinical, with your elective period, you cannot do it there. Okay. So just like that, you have to first find out a time slot and a slot where you can go and actually do the elective placement there. Okay. Hi. So would you say 3 years in advance is a good preparation? So it's when it comes to medicine, nothing is too early, nothing is too late. So earlier you actually get ready of, better it is. So that's what I can say. Some facilities, they actually, if you are actually applying for something very fancy like Harvard or Oxford or somewhere, I actually recommend you to start it now. Even 3 years, it's all right. You can start it now. So because their placements will be really expensive, but they get filled up very quickly. Does observership count only if we do it in the same country? Yes. Does country or count for any countries? It's only that country, because you have to get a letter at the end from a consultant who has the license to practice in that country. So it's only if you do it in that country, as far as I know. Okay. Anything else you want to know? And are the answers to those questions clear? Sorry, I didn't see these messages because I cannot see the chat when I share my screen. Okay, got it. Okay, nice. All right, that's it. Thank you, Maheshi.
Thank you so much. I think it was a very good explanation to all the foreign elective programs and the electives that are related to research. And I think you all did a great job. And thank you for sharing that experience with us. And I hope that this answered a lot of burning questions in our medical students about foreign elective programs. And hope our students are able to do foreign elective programs, hopefully successfully in coming years. Yeah, so let's move on to our next topic, and this is I think for all the sports lovers and who are interested in sports, who want to do something related to sports. And this topic is about sports related electives and about volunteering. So and this so I would like to invite Akila Nilavira from 2014 batch to share his experience about his electives. Aye, over to you.
Thank you, Maheshi. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity and to letting us talk to juniors about the elective programs. And I think Hiruni and Sachis did a really great job, and they have mentioned almost everything about electives and how to do, what to do, and what not to do. I'll just share my experience and a little bit of this, what areas that we can go, just not just being at clinical setting. Anusha, next slide, please. Okay. So as Hiruni and Sachit mentioned, these electives is something that is 100% in your control, but we all know that the medical curriculum is very hard and it is not under control, and we have to follow everything that been and everyone says. But these electives have given you the 100% control to yourself to select your topic, to select your field, to do the electives at a place, at a setting that you would like to do it. So selecting the field will be based on your interest and your passion, because this can be your career changing point. And to do that, you can do a SWOT analysis and you can think of the exposure that you get and your passion and the interest of that field. Anusha? I was asked to talk a little bit about volunteering and sports related electives, and you all know what volunteering is. It's providing service for the self-satisfaction without any payment. You can do a lot of work that is not any specialized skills or knowledge is required. But when it comes to our electives, you can combine this volunteering task with your clinical skills and your MBBS, this qualification, this MBBS background. You can combine this with your passion for the volunteerism. For example, some of our batchmates went to these schools for disabled children. They work with them, they learn with them, and some people did some advocacy work regarding to sign language. Likewise, and also some people went to this Ranaviru Sevana, where the disabled soldiers are residents. Likewise, and so you can do this volunteering related and combined with your medical background electives at different places. You can do at community level. You can do like community projects, even with the guidance of clubs like Rotaract or Leo clubs, or likewise with the correct supervision. And also you can go to institutions like, as I mentioned, and also you can get along with some projects as a volunteer. Like there were some United Nations projects which required some work with regard to rural hospitals, and two of our batchmates volunteered to that project also. So there are a lot of opportunities that you can seek with regard to volunteering with your medical background. And when it comes to sports related, because this could be a new or maybe a kind of interesting field, sports with medicine, you can think of several avenues that you can actually go. Because as Hiruni mentioned, you can use these electives, these 4 weeks, to explore the opportunities for your postgraduate or your career goals. You can set or you can explore. Basically, you can explore and get an idea which way that you want to go. So when it comes to sports and medicine, you can directly go to the clinical background of this sports medicine and sports and exercise medicine. And also you can go to the sports and exercise science, which is more related to like the research based. And again, there are sports volunteerism and research. So what our elective was actually, we wanted to get into more of the event-based, sporting events-based, how the sports medicine is implemented and how it is actually used in sporting events. But due to the COVID-19, there were no such events happening around. But we talked to our supervisor, who was the director of the Institute of Sports Medicine, and we somehow get into there with our topic of the management of soft tissue injuries. But it was not just about the clinical management of soft tissue injuries, but we could get into 1 or 2 events happening there, which was some selection trials, and also some educational sessions with national teams and national team coaches. So we had the exposure to sports medicine field and how it is happening in Sri Lanka, in what levels that the science and this medicine is used in Sri Lankan sports. And what we could get was what we really appreciated was the experience that we got because of this exposure. Because the sports medicine field is not in our medical curriculum, but there's an MD program in Sri Lanka, which is a new one. But same like sports medicine, there are many other new avenues that you can try with your interest. And like one of batchmate did about dancing and like physical activity level and stress management, like something connected like that. So with this, and we could go to 1 or 2 events with these national players, so we could meet the national players, and we could we could create connections with the giants of the field. Our supervisor was the Director General of Institute of Sports Medicine, and I could meet several sports medicine physicians in Sri Lanka. And also I could meet the educational director of the Sri Lanka Anti-Doping Agency. It was important because our undergraduate research was about doping drugs in national level at this. And we could talk with her about our research. And then they invited us to SLADA, the Sri Lanka Anti-Doping Agency. And we did a presentation about our findings of the research and our recommendations and conclusions to the director board of the SLADA. So opportunities opens up with your exposure, with this exposure, and when you explore. So these 4 weeks you can use as an eye opener to your career goals and also for your postgraduate. I mean, you don't have to do this postgraduate on the same field that you are doing your electives, but you can use these electives as an eye opener to your career after this undergraduate life. So it is just a small presentation, but I think you have gained almost everything basically with the previous 2 presentations. So if you have any questions, you can ask, or even at the end of this session. Thank you. Maheshi?
Yes, I thank you so much for your presentation, and I think that is also a wonderful presentation and a wonderful experience that you had, and I hope our audience got a lot of input from your presentation as well. And I would like to ask our participants, if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask it at the end of the whole session. So we will move on to our next topic, and this is about electives that are related that are not directly related to clinical specialties, and this will be done by Harinder Senarath from 2014 ADL batch. Over to you. You can start your presentation.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, sure. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to do this. And I'm Harindu from 14 batch. So I'm doing on the topic, the topics that are not directly related to clinical medicine. So the point here is you can do anything. අපිට ඒ කාලේ කිව්වා ඒ කාලේ ඉස්සර අක්කලා හැම driving license එක ගන්න එකත් electives වලට කරා කියලා. So you can do anything as long as you can justify it in your proposal. So so be careful, choose a topic that you can really justify, and you choose something you really like. So that's the point here. So I did something in archaeology. Anusha, can you go to the next slide? Yes, I did on ancient monastic hospital system in Sri Lanka with an archaeological approach. So I'll tell you that why I selected this topic. The first and most important thing was I really like this topic. I really like history, archaeology since my childhood. So that was the most important thing for me. And then the second reason is I really like traveling. With this elective, I had chance to travel all around the North Central province. So I like traveling. So that's the second thing. Then reading around this topic was really interesting. I used to read a lot during my childhood, and I could read again. So I found it interesting. And next, there were many elite medical professionals who have done immense research and studies on the history of medicine in Sri Lanka. Next slide. So these are only 3 examples. Professor Arjuna is the former dean of University of Peradeniya. He's a surgeon, and he has done extensive research on the surgery in ancient time in Sri Lanka, especially in Polonnaruwa. And he and the other archaeologists, they have found many surgical equipment, and they have found evidence that surgery was carried out in those days, and he has done some interesting work. And Dr. Uragoda, he has written a book, that History of Medicine in Sri Lanka, which is the textbook in this subject, and he also has done extensive work. And there's Uragoda Memorial Oration at SLMA, which is held annually, related to history of medicine. And then Professor Pilapitia, he's the Dean of Rajarata University Medical Faculty, and he's a special person as he has degrees in both Western medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, and he's a physician, and he has done interesting research on the treatment of snake bite and venomation in ancient times using medicinal drops. So these are only few examples. So many people, they have done interesting studies regarding the history of medicine in Sri Lanka. Next slide. Yeah, quickly going through the objectives. First, I'll explain you what I did so you can get an idea how you should do something like that. Uh, my general objective was to study the archaeological aspect of the monastic hospital system in Sri Lanka, and then specific objectives were first to study the literature evidence, then the epigraphy, that means cell lipi and those stuff, then study the archaeology and architecture, and finally to write some articles. And that was my plan. And I would like to mention you a few highlights related to the history of medicine in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has the oldest hospital in the world. The Mihintala Ancient Hospital is the oldest hospital in the world, which was proven by literature, epigraphy, and archaeological evidence. And Polonnaruwa and Mihintala Ancient Hospitals, they have found surgical instruments during their evacuations, and there had been some well-developed healthcare system and hospital system based on ancient Buddhist monasteries and under the royal patronage. And also, it's very interesting that they had a good knowledge on nutrition, and there was evidence that they have they have knowledge on high protein diets for post-op patients. Such thing has been found. So it's really interesting to study those. So next slide. So regarding challenges I faced, the first one was to find a supervisor as I had no contact with any archaeology related one. So I was a member of the one of the Facebook groups related to archaeology in Sri Lanka, and I just put them a message, and they recommended me Dr. Chandima Banwela, who was a senior lecturer in Rajarata University. And he's, if you may don't know, but he's one of the most active archaeologists in the country at the moment, and he humbly accepted my request. And then I went to Anuradhapura and I met him. So he gave me instructions and the list of references that I should follow, and it was really good. And then the next one was after submitting the proposal, it got accepted, and all the other parts of the elective was carried out during the COVID pandemic era. So it was really challenging, and it was difficult to find the literature. I had to read Mahavansha, Chulavamsa, and many books and articles. So luckily, I was able to find them through internet, and there were many ebooks and those stuff. And also, even though the faculty library was closed during that time, the librarian started the facility to pre-order the books and pre-order them through email and get them. So that was also helpful. I could get some references through that system as well. And the most challenging one was the COVID pandemic, because just around the days I chose to travel, do my field work, the Rajangani clusters emerged, but we could manage it without any compromisation. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I'll briefly outline what I did there for your enthusiasm and for the motivation purpose. As the accommodation was a problem, so we had to do all the field work within one day. So we left Colombo. Me and my girlfriend went there. So we left Colombo around 2 a.m. in the morning, and we reached Anuradhapura at 5 a.m. Then, as I had already done the literature review, we knew that there were some ruins within the Anuradhapura city area. So, but we didn't know where exactly they were. So we had to walk here and there and find them. It was really interesting. Then we moved to we moved to Mihintale and did field work there, visit to the museum. So those surgical equipments and the other stuff they have found during excavations. Then we moved to Madirigiriya, which was more than 100 kilometers away from Anuradhapura. Those days, no tourists, no one was there. It was really calm, quiet, really beautiful, interesting. So it was really fun. So after doing field work there, we moved to Polonnaruwa Hospital, and then museum. So by 6 in the evening, we had finished our field work. It was really interesting. Next slide. So after the field work, the last week of my elective, I wrote 4 articles regarding Hintale Hospital, Polonnaruwa Hospital, Madirigiri Hospital, and 1 article related to ancient treatment modalities like medicinal drops and other aspects. So these are some photos that we found of the surgical equipments found at Polonnaruwa, and this is the floor plan of the hospital. So it's really interesting. So my whole point here is if you find something really interesting and if you can justify it in your proposal that it is somewhat related to medicine and you can justify it, just do it. The most important thing is you should do something you find really, really interesting and something you really like. Then it's very easy and it's easy going and you can carry out it without any difficulty. Next slide, please. So my the literal objectives were fulfilled as well as what I really wanted to do. I wanted to travel, I wanted to study this stuff. So all were fulfilled and it was really, really fun. So even though this is a part of your clinical medicine curriculum, just I think it's better if you can make this most enthusiastic, most entertaining part of your curriculum as mentioned previously. So it's I mean you can be creative and just anything you can relate anything and do your elective. I mean, for example, if as Akila mentioned, if you are sports enthusiast, so you can do something related to nutrition, exercise, anything. If you like do something related to music, you can do music therapy, and so many areas are there. And in these days, I mean, if you're creative enough, you can find more than 1,000 topics that are related to this Aragala and these things. So the point is, do something you really, really like, and make sure that you can justify it. So it's up to yours. I mean, it's a really good opportunity to have good fun. Okay, next slide. Yes, thank you very much. If you have any questions, just ask me. So my take-home message is just do something you really like and have fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aye, for that wonderful presentation. I think that is one of a unique experience that we can have. And I know that there are a lot of medical students who have different kinds of interests in their mind rather than like out of medicine. So this would be a great opportunity for them to do what they like. So thank you again for that. For sharing your experience with us. Then we are going to move on to our next topic, and this will be the last topic for the day. And Anusha Pereira from 2014 ARL batch will be sharing his experience about an elective done in a peripheral setting. Over to you.
Thank you, Maheshi. To start with, I actually did my elective in a peripheral setting, a district general hospital. This was, as Sachit mentioned, our electives got cancelled due to COVID. Then, so we had to choose other options. And due to the convenience and other benefits, I just chose the elective that I could do from my home. So And to start with, what do you mean by periphery? Periphery is actually, within this presentation, I'm going to highlight what you can do in a district general hospital, a base hospital, and or in a peripheral clinical based setting, such as a specialized unit also, you can include in this category. And I did in a district general hospital, and there were some people who did in base hospitals. Whatever the facility that is near your home, you can do it from the comfort of your home. And regarding pros and cons of this, of doing an elective in a peripheral setting, the most wonderful thing is that you can do it from the comfort of your home. That means you don't, it is necessary not staying at home and sitting down, but just you can travel from your home. You can choose a hospital that is near to your home, which is a walking distance, so just you can travel. And so the other benefit is actually the cost is less compared to an international elective. The cost is very much less. Actually, you don't have to bear the cost of almost anything, because you can travel from your home. You can be with your people. And the other important thing is you can understand how a peripheral hospital works, because most of the time, almost all of us should work in a peripheral hospital at some part of our life, even as consultants or anybody. So you can understand how a peripheral hospital works. And especially my elective topic was the administrative network in a administrative setting in a peripheral hospital, the district general hospital. So I had to go to almost every part of the hospital, into starting from the director down to the hospital police post. I had to go everywhere and just summarize the structure, administrative structure, and how the things run. So if you are planning to work in the clinical setting in Sri Lanka, one day you will have to work in a peripheral setting. So you can learn, if you are going for an administrative elective in a peripheral hospital setting, you can understand how the things are done. How can you get a leave? How can you get a loan? How can you arrange a transfer? So such things can be learned during this elective. And the other important thing is, if this hospital usually is one from your local area, so you can build up rapport with the staff, because that may be the place you are going to work in the future. So you can build rapport and you can get to know the people. And at the same time, it is compared to working in a specialized unit, it is easy to get a good feedback usually from a peripheral unit, because they rarely see students interested and coming to their units to do electives. So yeah, they are very happy to accept you, and they are very happy to accommodate you. So they are usually very friendly, and they usually provide a good feedback at the end, because in the as Sirni mentioned, at the end of the elective, you have to get a feedback letter, and in that there's a comment section. The supervisor had to comment there. So, and when we move to cons, the most important thing is the cultural and environmental experience. Variability of cultural and environmental experience is less, actually, related to foreign electives and electives done in specialized unit. And also, as Harindu mentioned, this is not something novel. This and the cultural experience, this is maybe the same background you are living in. So cultural and environmental experience can be limited in this setting. And you can't do advanced technical stuff like spinal surgeries or advanced technical stuff and advanced research stuff you can't do in a peripheral hospital, because the facilities are limited, and you are somewhat away from the friends at the faculty, so you won't feel this. But when you're left alone at your home, you will feel this very much, because you don't know what the other people are doing. So you are away from the other friends, so you are just isolated. And at the same time, everybody may not be friendly in a peripheral setting, because the one thing you have to understand is, in a peripheral setting, usually most of the doctors are not from our faculty. So the electives program is limited to our faculty. So most of the people doesn't understand what is this elective, what this elective is about. So you have to explain them very clearly what this is about. And the other thing is, if you are planning to do elective like I did, related to the whole administrative network of the hospital, you are meeting not only the doctors, you have to meet physiotherapists, you have to meet the hospital police, everybody. So sometimes
I think Anushaya got disconnected due to some technical difficulty. We'll just wait till he joins back.
hello.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes,
sorry for
we can hear.
I lost the connection. Let me share my screen. Actually, I can't share my screen any further, but I'll explain you. So to start with, you have to get permission. And okay. To start with, there are two peripheral elective types. One is administration-related electives. They are usually done under the director. So you have to go to every part of administration and see what they are doing and record it. And you have to see how everything is done. And the other thing is, at the same hospital I did my elective, there are two of my friends who did an elective related to a clinical setting. So they did an audit in about a rheumatic clinic. So rheumatic arthritis people, so rheumatology clinic was there. And there was a consultant, and the consultant was known to my friend, relative. So actually they arranged a clinical elective there at that setting. So you can do both ways. If you know a consultant who is working there in your local hospital, you can go and arrange an elective in a clinical setting itself. And you can do an audit or a research. Actually, you can plan ahead for a research. Sometimes you can go for an audit also. Audit is much easier, but its value is somewhat less than the research in your future, because in your CVs and in future endeavors, if there's a research, it could be much more nice rather than having an audit. And the permission part, this can be somewhat difficult, because the people out there don't understand what an elective is. So you have to go and explain. You have to get a letter from the faculty, and you can write a letter for the director or DMO. In the base hospital, most probably there can be DMO. In this general hospital, there's a director. So you have to go to the director. But the thing you have to remember is, even though you are doing your elective in a specialized unit, that means rheumatology clinic or forensic medicine or anything in that hospital, you have to first get the permission from the director. So with your file, you go to the director. If you know the director, or if you have any connections with the director, or if it's someone easy, but I just walked in. with my faculty letter and with a special letter requesting his permission, you can go like that. And if you are doing with a consultant, of course, you have to get the permission from the consultant also. And the problem is sometimes when I did my elective related to the administration, I had to go to several units, as I already mentioned before. So I had to go to the forensic unit and in that hospital, and that for a JMO rejected. Now you can't come like that. He just said that he wants specialized permission from the director. So I had to go to the director back again and get special permission to enter the JMO's forensic medicine area. Another letter, I had to go to another letter and just present it to him, and so I could do my work. And then you have to remember, then what you have to remember is you have to know few tips. You have to be friendly with everybody. So you can't just go that we are medical students, we don't care the health professionals in that attitude, because in peripheral settings, most of the staff work together. So to survive those 4 weeks, you have to be friendly with everybody. And as I mentioned before, get permission from a subunit, each subunit if you are going to PP. If you know the head in the subunit, it is very much easy. And otherwise, just get permission. And you have to use your contacts if you have anybody in that hospital, because this is your local area, and maintain your logbook daily. Because if you are going to different subunits, and if you are meeting different people, it is very nice to have a logbook filled with everybody's signature and official seal at the end. What I did was, each day I got to a different unit, and I went to a different unit, and I got the signature of that head of that unit and official seal if they had one. And so that was interesting. So at the end of the day, you get a nice book. So those are the things I wanted to highlight. The main thing I want to highlight is with the rising cost and the cost you have to spend living outside your home these days. So it is easy for you to do an elective in your peripheral setting and stay at home for 4 weeks. But unlike in an international elective or in an elective related to research setting, the experience or the diversity of experience you can get may be limited because you are in your own locality. And so I have completed my part of this session. So back to you, Mahesh. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Aye, for that presentation. I think that is also a very valuable experience that he had, and I think our participants also got some idea about how to do an elective at a peripheral setting. So with this session, we are coming to the end of our today's program. So if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat box, or either you can unmute yourself and ask from the resource persons in this meeting. If anyone comes with the questions, there's a question in the chat box. I'm not sure whether this is answered or not, but I'll just ask, what sort of elective proposals will get accepted for a 3-people group?
I think that's from my side.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yes, the 3-people group, it's so that what I would say is the width should be more. So if you just imagine, if you are doing if you take the Anusha's one, and if someone is doing just an audit, so they will definitely not let like 3 of you do that research, that elective program. But in case if you are doing a research, it's more work and the width is more, and definitely 2 cannot handle that the workload, and those cases they will actually accept 3. Only in very like selected circumstance only they will let 3 students do the elective program. And in our case it was in the peak of COVID-19, the first wave, and those things actually accounted when they took that decision. So that's what we can tell about that. And those type of, if the width is more, they will let 3 of you doing one elective program, but most of the time, 95% of the time, it will be 2.
So thank you for that explanation. Are there any more questions from the audience? Yes, it seems like there's no questions, but I think there'll be a lot of questions coming up when you're getting like when you're going into next levels of the elective program. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send it to us, or we will try to get resource persons from 2014 batch to get answers for your questions. So for today's session, we will be ending. And before we wind up, I would like to thank all of our resource persons from 2014 A-level batch: Sachit Munasinghe, Akila Nilavira, Harindu Senarat, Anusha Pereira, and Hiruni Udara. Ayala and Aki, thank you so much for being with us today and contributing your valuable time for this project. I hope a lot of our medical students got a really good idea about what electives is. I myself found a lot of stuff about electives because I also had a lot of questions in my mind, and I was able to find answers for those. And thank you so much. And I would like to congratulate all of you for the great job you did in your electives as well as in the finals, hopefully. So and all the best for your all future endeavors. And I would like to thank our audience for being with us for 1.5 hours. And I hope this session was very fruitful and was interesting and was able to find what you wanted. So with this, we would like to end our session. Thank you for being with us. Good night.